right is a modeling question. When we're modeling, we're trying to take some information that we have written in English and turn it into a mathematical representation. Let's take a look. A teacher is creating an assignment worth 70 points. The assignment will consist of questions worth 1 point and questions worth 3 points. Which equation represents this situation, where x represents the number of 1-point questions and y represents the number of 3-point questions? If this type of story is familiar, we might be able to use a shortcut, but if not, we can still build it from scratch. Let's take a look at building it from scratch first. So I should analyze this text a little bit. We have an assignment that is worth 70 points. We also have some different types of questions. We've got some 1-point questions and we've got some 3-point questions. We're going to have x represent the number of 1-point questions, and y will represent the number of 3-point questions. So what can we do with this information? Well, I know that this test is going to have a total value of 70 points. When I'm adding up things with different values, a 1-point question and a 3-point question, I'm just going to be using addition to find the total, and we know that the total is 70. But then how do we figure out exactly what we're adding? So we've got some information related to the 1-point questions, and we've got some information related to the 2-point questions. Let's see how we can break that down. We don't know how many 1-point questions there are, so we're going to call that x, but we do know what they're worth. So if I had, let's see here, let's say x equals, I don't know, 10. If we had 10 1-point questions, then that would be 1 plus 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 1. That would be 10 times 1. But what if we had 30 1-point questions? Then that would be 30 ones, so 30 times 1. So our value of the 1-point questions is just however many 1-point questions there are times 1. We can use the same logic with our 3-point questions. So we don't know exactly how many 3-point questions there are. We're just going to call that number y. We could imagine maybe there are 5 3-point questions. So 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, or 5 times 3. But again, if there were 10 3-point questions, all of those questions would be worth 10 times 3. So we've got some number y times 3. So we've got an x times 1 plus y times 3 is equal to 70, the total number of points. Let's see if we've got something equivalent in our answer choices. 4xy equals 70. No, these are not like terms. I can't add them. Can't group them. Oh, but I do have something over here in D. X times 1, we can just write as x. Y times 3, more properly written as 3y, gives us a total of 70. So we figured it out. D is our answer. But if you were familiar with this type of question, you might have recognized that it is a standard form question. Standard form is a formula that's very useful for modeling situations with a total cost. So maybe that's a total number of dollars, or a total number of minutes, or a total number of points. You may have seen problems like this where you've got 2 jobs. Your babysitting job gives you $14 an hour, and your lawn mowing job gives you $16 an hour. And you want to find your total profit. Or it could be with time. Reading a page of your history textbook takes you 2 minutes, but reading a page of your literature book takes you 3 minutes. So you could figure out the total number of minutes based on how many pages of each type of book you need to read. We've got a similar situation here. ax plus by equals c is our standard form linear equation in two variables. Again, this is very useful for total cost scenarios. We've got a coefficient a and a variable x, another coefficient b and a variable y, and a final constant c. We're going to replace the a, b, and c and leave our x and y as variables. With a and x, we're looking at a how much and a how many. How much each thing is worth and how many of them there are. Well, how much do the 1-point questions cost? Well, they're worth 1 point. So my a value is 1. How many 1-point questions are there? We don't know. That's our x. Same thing we can do with b and y. B represents how much, so b is how much they're worth. They're worth 3 points. How many are there? We don't know. There's y number of 3-point questions. And then c is the total cost, or the total amount. The total value is 70. So once again, we've got this idea of 1x plus 3y is equal to 70. So whether you're familiar with standard form and how it's used in total cost stories, or whether you build it from scratch, you should be able to get this equation, x plus 3y equals 70, to represent this story.